What's going on, y'all? In this video I'm going to show you how to do a European mount. Now this deer is my buddy Devin's that he shot earlier this fall. He let me have it. He's also let me have several other heads that he's had through the years that he just kind of put away in the freezer and never did anything with them. So I told him, I said, here, let me have them. I'll do European mounts and I'll make you a stand so we can display them. Now this is a process that's going to take place over several weeks. Alright, so I've already taken the hide and a lot of the tissue off this skull to save time, and in all reality it's just a really graphic process. Now if you're interested in how to take the hide off a deer head, there's plenty of videos out there. I just felt it was necessary to cut that step out. Now what we're going to do is wrap the bases of the antlers first with clear food wrap and then electrical tape. And we're going to keep this wrap on here throughout the entire process. Alright, now first thing we want to do is take our wrap and put it just under the pedicle, but we got to make sure that we get it completely under, or the bowling process and then the bleaching process will take out the natural color of the horn. Alright, we got our food wrap all the way around the bases of our horns, all the way up the beam. We want to make sure we get it high enough so there isn't any splatter throughout the process that could take away the coloring of the horns. Now we're going to add our electrical tape to make sure everything holds. Give it several good wraps. Alright, now we have our antlers wrapped and we're ready to get the bowling process underway. We're now ready for the bowling process. I have a propane burner and a pot that the head can fit evenly in. Now, I want to talk about water level. You want to put your head in the pot as you're filling up your water, get it to the bases of the antlers. However, I'm actually going to take the head out and get to the proper level of bowling before I put the head back in. Alright, we got our pot to a simmer. Now you don't want your pot too hot. The best way I've found to measure is you want to be able to count the bubbles coming to the surface. So definitely not a rolling bowl. Now we're going to put our head back in. Now, my biggest advice to you is not to leave this after you put it in the boiling water. I would set with it and tend to it. You might have to adjust your heat either up or down. And you also want to watch how the tissue is beginning to fall off. You definitely don't want to overboil this, because if you overboil it, you're going to start to lose teeth and you could even lose the tip of the nose. Alright, we're ready to pressure wash. I've made a little makeshift box from scrap wood I had laying around that helps keep the skull in one place, and I can maneuver it to make sure that I pressure wash every orifice of the skull to get all the tissue I can off of it. Alright, for the last step for today, I'm going to let the skull set in Dawn dish soap overnight. It'll help draw all the rest of that remaining grease out and soften some of that remaining tissue. I got most of the tissue off the bone, except for I left the nasal cavity alone. I'm going to go after that tomorrow. That's the most delicate process. Alright, so let's put our soap on. We're going to fill the rest of that up with water and let it set overnight. Alright, I let the skull set in Dawn dish soap overnight to get the grease out. I've got most of the tissue off of it. However, yesterday I left the nasal tissue alone, and today I'm going to clean it out. A lot of people have different feelings about this. Some people like to leave it completely intact. Some people like to take it completely out. If you've never taken it completely out, you have no idea how much tissue is actually in there. Cause the skull to yellow or smell. So I like to take it all completely out. It just makes for a more sanitary piece to put inside your house. Now we're ready to whiten our skull. I have two products here that I'm going to use for the whitening process. First, a powdered peroxide called Basic White. And then I have Volume 40 peroxide. You can get both off Amazon. What I'm going to do first is put a couple scoops in this cup of the powder. Powder gets up your nose, makes you cough. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pour a little bit of this liquid Volume 40 peroxide in. And the goal is take a spoon and create like a cream. I want it to be able to stick to the bone and sit there instead of just soaking the head in liquid peroxide. This keeps the peroxide in one spot instead of it just simply dripping off. I think we got the consistency we want, so we're going to take our brush. As you can see, I made a cream with it. I simply am just going to brush it on pretty generously. Let that set for several hours, check on it. We might apply another coat if we need to, but once we get it to the whiteness we want, it's done. Alright, we got the skull as white as we want it. Now we're going to give it a coat of Mop and Glow. The purpose behind this is to keep any dirt or dust getting ingrained in the bone. It's going to seal the bone, and it's also going to give it a nice fresh smell. Now we're just going to take a paintbrush and just brush it on. And you might worry that this is going to give it a shiny coat, but if you keep it to just one coat, it doesn't give it too much of an unnatural shine. It just kind of glistens a little bit. And there you have it. We're going to let that dry and we'll have a complete skull.